All right, so how do you apply your teachings to your own personal life? That's the third question you want to ask any spiritual seeker. It's so important. I hope you can hear me. The wind's blowing a little bit, and I don't have a wind dampener or whatever they call it for the microphone. It's just a GoPro sitting out there. Anyway. I blog about my life. I'm very transparent about the way I live my life. I believe this is so critical that you show how you live, that you're living in harmony with this, with your teachings. You're living authentically. You're not just saying one thing and then doing something else. That's hypocritical. And I'm really kind of surprised that more spiritual teachers don't do this. Maybe they think it's an ego thing, but I don't look at it that way at all. I look at it as a way of sharing a whole nother experience with my audience, a way of demonstrating how these rather abstract teachings, often they're abstract teachings, can work in their day-to-day life. I also use them as a form of practice. If I feel like I'm doing something that I'd be ashamed to share, then that says something about how in harmony my teachings are with my real life. So that's always a good thing. It's always a way of looking at yourself and saying, wait a minute, am I living true here? Am I succumbing to my temptations, or my self-preservation, or my trying to sell this too much rather than just trying to be true and just share? These are conflicts that a lot of spiritual teachers probably run into, I'm sure. Show a good and whole and clean face versus showing an authentic face, which is more likely what their students are going to be going through. They're not going to be having good times all the time. They're going to be troubled. They're going to have financial issues. They're going to have car accidents and whatnot. How we live that life, how a teacher demonstrates how he or she encounters those experiences and relates how they, that's not the right phrase, it's how they deal with these experiences. That's what's important. Because obviously, if they don't deal with their day-to-day life in the same spiritual way that they're telling their students to, then there's something amiss there. So I like to confess all my sins, so to speak, and to show, I'm not perfect, and I know that they're not perfect, and I know that all the spiritual teachers out there aren't perfect either. They're just as human as everybody else. But with the broader understanding, with the vaster understanding of who I am, or me, whatever that is, as I like to say, how I integrate with this world, I believe sheds light to people who are trying to understand mystical oneness, or for another teacher trying to teach their students how their teachings can be applied with the world. Now, I know that sounds kind of silly, but my blog is wayneweers.com. Go there and click on the link, blog, obviously. But as an example, I'll give you a couple of my encounters that might inspire you to ask your teachers to open up more. Once I was in Upper Matacumbe Key in the Florida Keys, and I live in a van, and so you're naturally suspicious to law enforcement. They don't like single guys sitting around in vans. And I had a cop had stopped to see what I was doing. I was parked just on the side of the road by a bridge where you could fish at, and he says, "What are you doing here?" And I go to reach into my pocket to pull out my phone, and he pulls his gun on me, and he says, "Pull your hands out of your pocket," And I was really happy because I knew I was that close to being shot. You know, I knew that if I pulled my hand out too quick, I could get shot. But I was happy because I didn't feel any fear at all. Even though there's this gun pointing at me and the cop is very nervous, he doesn't know who I am, I felt so thrilled that I didn't have the fear of death. You rarely get these kind of tests. And so I blogged about that. Another one was I was out by this lake out in the middle of nowhere, and this guy comes up to me. He sees my van, and he set up camp next to me or near me, and he comes over to me and we start talking and stuff. And this is part of the mystical side, but I heard her whispers, the cosmic consciousness, this other intelligence, telling me I should talk to this guy about meditation. Yet he had been telling me he had been there doing target practice and stuff. So I thought, you know, no way am I going to talk to this guy about meditation. He has no interest in it at all. But I kept hearing this kind of whisper saying, talk to him about meditation. So I mentioned how I like to sit here and meditate and look out over the trees and whatnot. And it just changed his perspective. He just changed his whole attitude. Just him trying to be this manly guy and stuff, it just fell away. And all of a sudden he's telling me about how, yes, he wants to learn to meditate and he wants to spend time and he wants to get away from all this stress. And these are examples of, that was an example of cosmic consciousness, talking to an awake individual that comes through. As there's less of you, there's more of her, as I like to say. But I blog about these things, and so people can see how, in that case, how I had an argument basically with God, if you want to call it that. You know, I do. I often have doubts. Am I doing the right thing? Is this me wanting to do this, or is this her guiding me to do this? You know, so I talk about this stuff. I think that's very handy for students. So anyway, ask your teacher, how do they apply their teachings to their lifestyle, their day-to-day life, and hopefully you'll see a whole nother side to them, and hopefully it'll give you a whole nother perspective on the teachings. So I hope this helps. WayneWeirs.com, click on the blog, and you can learn everything you want about me. I'm extremely transparent. So thanks for listening.